Reverend Bill Coller is our co-founder for Inner Spiritual Center. And he contacted me yesterday and said he was coming into service. So we put him to work. So Bill will be doing our inspirational talk for today. But Bill has been a medium, a teacher, a spiritualist for over 50 years, comes from a spiritualist family, and has taught throughout the world. So I know these last 2 years have been a little different because of COVID restrictions and travel, but he's still teaching and still doing private sessions with people on Zoom and in person over in Switzerland. So about 15 years ago, Bill and I were introduced by a mutual friend, Sunny G, who is now in the spirit side of life. And about 10 years ago, we decided that we needed an alternative center, not only in the area of New Jersey in the States, but for people who wanted to learn mediumship in perhaps a different way, a center that could be a community, a center that we could grow with classes and services. And over these past 10 years, I can only say that we are achieving it. So I look forward to the next several years, again, moving forward with the center and with Bill as a co-founder and co-director. So Bill, if you want to unmute, we are ready for your inspirational talk for today.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to your time. Good late afternoon my time. Isn't it interesting that 10 years have gone by? It only seems in many ways like yesterday. But what it teaches us is that as the time goes by quickly, we also experience a lot of our family and friends and colleagues that make that transition into the spiritual world before us. And I often am curious about what they think about us, what they think about what we're doing and how we're doing things, and could we do it better? And I'm sure the answer to that would always be yes. But I think we've got to, in this 10-year anniversary, we've got to give the credit to Sharon, because Sharon is the one that's been like the cement between the bricks. She's the one that's kind of held things together. And we've got to give credit to you guys as well, because you guys have been very supportive in the development of the continuity of what we were all trying to achieve. But what's important is not what we've done. What's important is what we can do in the next number of years ahead. Sure, this has been a difficult time, COVID being an example. But, you know, I think in this last 10 years, the number of friends of mine and family that have passed away, and you probably are in the same situation. I think today of the number of people that I know who are not very well, dare I use the term terminally ill, who it's quite likely won't be here a year from now. And what we realise from all of those things is life never stands still. Now, Sharon made an observation, and there was an observation made by Leslie about this idea of what seems like mistakes and the things we don't get right. And I don't believe we ever make mistakes. I believe there is a reason behind things, but I believe that we also make decisions. We don't make mistakes, we make decisions. And often the decisions that we make are based on limited information. And because the information for us is limited, it may turn out that that decision was not the best decision. If we'd been furnished with more information at that time, then we might have made another decision. We might have made a better decision. And I'm still also of the mind that we don't learn so much from the things that we get correct. We learn more from the things that we don't get correct. And we say to ourselves, how do I progress from that? How do I move on from that? How do I understand that I shouldn't go down that road again? And that's the great thing about spiritualism as an ism, because spiritual growth is open to everyone. It doesn't matter your creed, your dogma, your upbringing, your religious belief systems. Spiritual growth is open to us all. But the question is, are we open to be able to be aware of the positive things and to enact those positive things? I know over the years, and it's now plus 35 years, seems a long time, but it's plus 35 years that I've been coming into the United States. Plus 35 years. That's a long time. That's a lifetime for some people. And in my time in the States, I must also say, I've met with nothing but kindness. So I'm a big fan of good old US of A. I'm a big fan of American people. And the one thing that I think in this last 10 years identifies this also, one of the things I like about Americans, apart from the beer and apart from Sharon's stew, one of the things that I like about Americans is it's okay in the American culture to get it wrong, because it's never give up, it's never say no, and it's let's try again. And that's a great thing within the culture of USA, is this ability to maybe not get it quite right, but the ability to keep trying until you do get it right. And that's a great strength that you have. And I'm not so sure you always appreciate that. If you come to places like Switzerland, Germany is an example as well, failure is failure. And society does not accept or manage failure in those countries very well. That's why countries like Switzerland has a very, very high suicide rate, because failure is not allowed. Now, I'm of the mind that comes down to lack of education. Whereas in the States, there's an education and there's a mentality that says, hey, let's keep going. Let's keep trying. I was listening to the news the other day, and it said that 20 years ago, 25 years ago, in America, it was expected that 80% of the people in a job then would expect to earn more than their parents. That figure has now dropped to 50% of all the working people in America would expect to earn more than their parents. Now that sounds a little bit negative, but I don't think of it that way. I think of it as there's an opportunity for us all to just keep working at what we do. Now, I work on the spiritual side of what I do. I don't say for one moment in time I'm perfect. I'm sure there's more than 60% of you there would validate the fact I'm not perfect. But I would say that no matter what people might think, I do try. I do try to find improvement. I do try to find change. I do try to find another level of spiritual activity and involvement. And you're the same. Your heart is in the right place. Maybe the opportunities are not quite there at the moment, but that will change because society does change. And what's important is you keep that positivity. What's important is you keep that hope for the future. What's important is you try to be the best example that you can be for other people who are round about you. Now, obviously, a lot of that starts with family, but it goes to non-family as well. It goes to friends, it goes to colleagues, it goes to people in the community that you serve. Each of you is a spiritual ambassador of your truth. And your truth can never do you any harm. Your truth can only help you to find a way forward, to be a good example for other people to look at. Now, I look around the screen here, and there's a number of people on the screen that I've been lucky enough to have been part of the things that they've been doing in their development. And I see that as being a joy. I see that as being a privilege. But it's not the way that I see it that's important. It's the way that you look at things yourself. When you look at the steps that you've taken in this last 10 years, maybe in the beginning you could never have imagined that you would have reached that level that you've reached. You would never have imagined it was possible for you to have the knowledge and the opportunity that you have today. You could never have imagined. But the important part of it is knowledge gained and not shared is knowledge lost. And what we need to be doing is taking the knowledge that we have and taking it outside of this computer screen that I'm looking at. God bless Apple. I'm taking it outside of that screen, and I'm saying, where are you taking that knowledge into your own community of life? Are you giving other people the opportunity to have the choice? So I don't see this 10 years as being the end, but I see it as the next step in the beginning. And it's going to be interesting to note where you are 10 years from now. I'll probably be somebody's spiritual guide somewhere, looking down from above and giving you encouragement. But we never ever know. When we look today at the number of people who are passing away, when we look today at the age groups of people who are passing away, when we look at those things, there are no guarantees. So the only thing we can be sure of is what we're doing now. That's the only thing we can be sure of. And it's what we put into the nows that are important. And if that now takes you in another direction, then it takes you in another direction. If that now, going back to what Sharon was saying to you earlier on, takes you into what we decided was a new centre, if we'd never taken those decisions, there would never have been a new centre. And so we've always got to try to follow what our heart and what our soul is trying to tell us. And as long as what we do with good grace, good feeling, and with good love, and our actions are not detrimental to other people, then it can only be good. So that should be our object for the next 10 years, to do good with what we have and what we know, to act good with what we have and what we know, and be the best example that other people can look at and learn from. Think about that. Thank you very much.